All right, we'll get started with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Shawnee County Board Commissioners Work Session. It's June 22nd, 2026. On my far left is Lisa Schmidt, our county clerk. Rich Eckert on the far right is our county counselor. We have Commissioner Aaron Mays, who represents District 3 on my left, and on my right is Commissioner Aaron Mays, Kevin Cook, who represents District 2. I'm Bill Rippon, and I represent District 1. So anyway, thank you and welcome. Thank you for being here. First thing is presentation. Jim Martin, it's all yours.
Morning, Commissioners. James Martin. I'm one of your appointed representatives to the Gage Park Improvement Authority, one of the board members at county at large. I want to take, I've given you the latest annual report for 2025. I'm not going to go over that in detail because that's a nice read and it's got some general information in it for you, but I want to concentrate on a little bit more of a state of the authority at this point, because if I take you back a little bit to November of 22, when the ballot initiative was approved by the citizens of Shawnee County for the 0.2% sales tax. You know, our group first met on December 20th of 22, and 7 members, and again, it's the director of Parks and Rec, the director of the zoo, and the director of the Kansas Children's Discovery Center, and then 4 at-large appointed, 2 the city and 2 from the county. The primary purpose of this board and this group is to administer and distribute the tax receipts that we receive from KDOR, the Kansas Department of Revenue, each month. We do that on a regular basis. We send the proceeds to the 3 entities for their use in their activities on a daily basis. The other aspect, and that split was 58% to the zoo, 22% to Shawnee County, 15% to the Discovery Center. And the secondary portion of the statute indicated that 5% would be to the board, the authority board, to be used at their discretion for either expenses or projects that relate to the park. And I will point out that every dollar of this tax issue that is obtained is focused on those entities and to Gage Park. There's none of those funds go anywhere else in any manner. So, and that's one of the things I wanted to concentrate on today, because we do have, the board itself has 5% that we get each month, and that amounts to $35,000 to $38,000 a month that the board actually gets. And if you remember correctly, when we first started out, the first year and a half, we got money delayed after about a year plus because of a little kerfuffle in the state legislature that they couldn't quite decide that the tax issue was supposed to be enforced. And so we eventually got those funds. So for the first 2 years, really, the board was kind of feeling its way as far as what the heck we were supposed to do other than distribute the money. And then, oh, by the way, we were accumulating quite a bit of money via the 5% that we got. The one thing I wanted to relate to you today, and again, the annual report you have addresses some of these items I'm going to touch base on, and it also gives you some background of some of the things that the three entities are currently doing, which I'll also touch on a little bit. But I wanted to make sure that from your standpoint, you understood that what we've been seeing over the last 3.5 years is a very, very stable revenue source from that tax issue. It's run $8+ to $9 million a year on a fairly consistent basis. And on a monthly, as we get it each month at the end of the month, it's been pretty consistent in the $700,000 to $800,000 a month, for the from the tax. The thing that I did want to tell you that we do feel that the financial and the operational status of the authority is very sound. We think we're fulfilling the mission of distributing the funds on a monthly and a long-term basis, and we're also trying to do our due diligence and be effective in utilizing the funds that we receive. Part of the aspect of the authority was, since it is a partly volunteer board, the three directors, I wouldn't say they're necessarily volunteers in that sense, excuse me. The 4 appointed are volunteers, and the 7-person board the terms are all the same. So at some point in time, there will be change on this board. And so one of our prime aspects was to take steps to ensure the longevity of the board and the effectiveness of the financial aspects of the board to outlive any change in the representatives. So we've initiated a number of things. In year 2, we started talking about what we should do, and we tried to do some things, and we did some tracking. But we've now formalized this last year. We've now formalized those, and I'll just quickly run down them. We have obtained the services of an accounting firm that does now initiate each monthly payment and make sure those payments are provided to the entities, and those are provided via ACH transfers. And then we have an accounting also from them of each transfer. And then they are also accounting for us on a monthly basis. So they are at our meeting each month, reporting and presenting a summary. And since we are a public board, that information is available at those meetings. And we are very pleased. They've done a very, very good job. And we have a continuing presence whereby a board member is not responsible for the day-to-day accounting and that type of thing. So we feel we've taken a step there to ensure longevity of the effectiveness of the board. Initially, we established a fairly large reserve fund within the funds that we have. We've, of course, any of the idle funds that have not been being used are in interest-bearing accounts, and then also where we have been able to pull funds that we have as far as the board 5%, we put those into CDs, excuse me, and we have been obtaining a pretty good interest rate. So all the idle funds have been earning interest via CDs. We did establish a detailed cash flow estimate for each month. And the things I sent you via the email, and I think you have, there's an example of the reporting, the financial reporting we get each month. And in that, we do have a cash flow that we look ahead over the next year so that we ensure that the funds that we have and the funds that we have committed project-wise match up to where we do not have any issues as far as, getting too close to our reserves that we maintain. We did establish a 3-member financial subcommittee that when someone has a request to expend some of the funds, they have to go through this committee, and it involves the chairperson, the vice chairperson, and the secretary treasurer at that time. And that request is a written request. It's passed through that group, passed through the board for discussion, and then if deemed worthy, then on the next month, it's acted on. We also, since early on, since we accumulated the pretty large fund pool that we had from a discretionary standpoint, we have established over a period a set of objectives and strategic areas that we felt the board should be active in. And so as we've developed projects, we have a project listing, and I'll go over that in just a minute. And we update that and review that every month now to make sure that the projects are moving ahead. We're holding the folks accountable that have requested the funds and that we do eventually get those projects completed. In addition, each year now, starting last year, we have an independent accountant come in and review the financials for the year and issue a review report for the year. We've done it for 25. We're just about to do it, or excuse me, we've done it for 24. We're just about to do it for the last year very shortly here. We've initiated steps to have those folks come back and take a look at our financial history this last year. The other thing we also have done is before you, the annual report. Annual reports can be very detailed, very cumbersome. They can be so brief you don't know what you have. I think we're trying to strike a good balance of brevity with information. And we have to thank Tim Laurent and the Parks and Rec Department for taking this on their shoulder to make sure that this is published each year. It is available online at the Parks and Rec website and the zoo and the Discovery Center also. At the end of last year, December 31st, the board itself had over $1 million cash in the accounts, but almost 800,000 of that was committed to projects, which I'll go over here in just a minute, and reserve. So we've been able to, I think, shepherd and use the money that we're getting as a board very effectively. We know that the entities are using the funds they receive, and they're very important. The zoo, I believe, mostly uses theirs for operation and maybe some project work, but I don't know that for fact. I don't have much detail on that. I know Parks and Rec is using the funds for enhancements in the park, and we can touch base on some of those after a bit. Discovery Center uses their funds for to help pay on their addition that they've done. And then also, you've seen a steady parade of new exhibits come through their new facilities. And that's one of the important things that they're using the Gage Park money for. And they have a very good write-up in their, on their website and their annual report reflecting that. So I wanted to, if I could, touch base, and I think you have on the screen and this sheet before you. This is just the listing of the projects that the board as such has committed to over the years here that we've been now in operation. And the one thing I would point out is that whereas the money that is distributed to the entities goes to the very large, either operation or large project arena, the board as it operates such, cannot fund the large projects. We can initiate and assist projects on a wide front, and that's what we're trying to do to take care of some of the things that, from a background standpoint, they're not very sexy as far as the big additions like Discovery Center or the projects that are underway, but they're things that are both needed and will prove effective long term. And I'll just go down through and just touch base and give you a little bit of a status on these, if I might. Master planning seems like that's always going on in a sense with any entity like this where you have complicated arrangement with 3 entities and oversight. That work is still ongoing with the county master plan, but that has a focused Gage Park component in it. Some of the work that, as the board, we've supported that financially. As you see, we approved over $100,000, and that work is still ongoing, and we anticipate that. I believe, and Tim can probably address that more as far as we anticipate that's done sometime later this summer or this year. The Gage Park War Memorial, and I have to point at Commissioner Rippon on this with his group there, his group, the Veterans Memorial Group. We did talk about, and we granted some dollars to them for some improvements. And if you've been out there, that memorial has become I won't say a centerpiece, but it's a focal point for the park, and the improvements of concrete and electrical, that type of thing, have really improved the quality of the memorial, and I think it stands for itself at this point. We do need a final invoice for completion of the project, though. We have to get it off the books.
We have the electrical done, the concrete work done. We're waiting on a landscape firm to relay a lot of the bricks. So between the weather and them just being swamped, they told me it'd be done in June. So
I understand that.
And but hopefully they'll be done in here shortly.
Well, Commissioner, you're on notice, so. The Big Gate Shelter House design, that's a scenario that some time ago, there's always been discussion about building a different large shelter house at the park. Some time ago, when the zoo came to the Parks and Rec and said, we need that, we want that, we're going to exchange that, take it over. The discussions were ongoing about doing other projects in the park, and the idea of reestablishing and designing and building a new, larger shelter house dovetailed with some of those other projects. The board felt it was appropriate because of the time frame involved and the desired date that the zoo wanted the old shelter house, that we put in the $150,000 to help design that new shelter house, which is underway as we speak. The other things that a couple of other things that we've done that people don't see but are kind of a necessity is in partnership with the city, we did conduct closed circuit TV inspection of underground utilities in the park site. And this is the sanitary sewers and the storm sewers, which are quite aged as far as their condition. Those were actually located, inspected via closed circuit TV, and information developed. We're still waiting for the the printed version of that information, but it pretty much appeared to indicate that the zoo has the greatest problem with the stormwater piping that's underneath their facilities. The rest of the park, not so much. There's very limited facilities, and we think there's going to be probably a limited amount of repair work eventually. The other aspect that we did as a board work with the city on was the fiber optic scenario in the park, in the zoo, in the park. The zoo had need to move some fiber optics because of some of the work they're doing. The fiber optic system needed to be improved. So we looked at, excuse me, we looked at doing an improvement for the park that would ensure that all the park facilities, and here we're talking about the railroad station, the pool, the carousel area, potentially future development around the Westlake area, that a loop of fiber optic would be internal to the park, that eventually any facility that the county runs could be connected. And then also the Discovery Center could connect to. They are not currently connected to, they're connected to a different system. But so we did fund that in cooperation with the city, and that work is, we believe, has now been completed. We have yet to get a final on that, but they've been out working on that. One of the things that we recognize, that trying to publicize the park and communicate with others, the desire for a new electronic message board, the one at 6th and Gage was, or 10th and Gage, excuse me, aged electronically and physically. And Parks and Rec has taken that on as a project, and the Authority Board has provided $110,000 toward that project as part of a cost sharing. The other one that I want to point out is that the drainage in Gage Park has not ever really been looked at effectively over a period of time. The zoo struggles with that because of their landlocks. There's 3 drainage areas: the zoo, Westlake, and then basically around the Discovery Center. The Discovery Center had to deal with their drainage as they did their new addition. The zoo and Westlake are 2 very different drainage basins, and the regulatory aspects of the drainage eventually require that certain things be looked at, certain things be done. And this has the weight of also issuing building permits for some of the Parks and Rec projects and proposed projects. So the board opted to try to fund a drainage study that covered both the zoo and the Westlake, the Parks and Rec area. We were going to fund that study, including the Westlake and including the Westlake Dam, and I'll touch base on that in a second. We offered to fund the entire park drainage area. Parks and Rec accepted that part of it. The zoo decided not to participate in that. So right now, the drainage project is just related to the Westlake drainage area, and that's basically from where Westlake is back north to south through the middle of the park. And that covers the area where the band shell is and where the pool is and the carousel, et cetera. So that is underway. It has been for some months. This Wednesday, we're going to get a preliminary cost estimate. Most of that cost is going to be related to the dam. The necessary things that we're seeing as far as drainage, as far as control of water and quality that are required from a state and a federal standpoint are going to be addressed very readily with pretty limited expense within the basin and within expense by the either the authority or Parks and Rec. The dam is another issue. I say it's a dam. It's an embankment that many years ago was put together, and there was a lot of, I say stuff, rubble, debris placed in it, soil cover. It was not a design dam as such for what it does. To ensure that the stormwater drainage scenario can be carried out properly and that we do not have any downstream issues, because if you remember, if you look right across the street, there's a set of apartments and there's a very, very narrow drainage way between those apartments. And unfortunately, the position of things is if there is leakage and failure, there could be problems with those apartments. So we have to address those. There's been leakage or seepage on that embankment for as long as I can remember. When the city redid 6th Street along there was just very limited, there was just a limited work done, and so there's not been anything done, but that is being looked at this point. We do anticipate a detailed, the finish of the detailed study here in a couple months or so. We do anticipate that probably has a pretty good price tag to it. With the train also running on that embankment, we've got a lot of different things that have to be considered as far as elevation and the drainage, et cetera. So that's getting worked out, but I think in the end we'll see a good result out of it. But that will be a project that we could anticipate. Probably it might be anywhere from $750,000 to $1.5 million, but we don't know for sure. That's just a first guess. The other small things that small dollar amount so far, but it has a big effect, is that as a board, part of our activity and this commitment that you see on here is we've been partnering with Discovery Center and the zoo and the Topeka Library to provide funding for free and reduced admissions to the facilities in the park. And the demand, obviously in the economic times that we have been in for the last 6 to 10 years, that demand now outstrips those funds. So we're looking at how we can still maybe maintain some assistance there, and or how we can maybe even leverage some money to increase that. But both the Discovery Center and the zoo have indicated that the demand for activity for people to go to those locations that maybe can't afford on a normal basis, even though the ticket prices and everything are really reasonable. It's an important aspect of the program that they're involved with, and that's just one of the other things that we've stuck into the mix. We do have some costs for the accounting services and the financial audit. We are, over the last 3 years, we have had some discussion also. One of the things that we don't want to lose out there is the history. Parks and Rec has done a good job, especially on the south portion of the park with the entrance and the Munn Memorial. We are concerned about the arch. And, if you've looked at the photos of the past and seen the buggies and the carriages underneath the arch, and that was the entrance to the park. And right now, just through happenstance and as things have advanced over the years, the arch sits in kind of a lonely corner, and you can't do anything, or it's kind of out of the way. Now, whether or not we can do anything with it, we don't know, but we're having a discussion right now about, and I know there's been discussions before about potentially trying to do something with it, either physically move it or do something else. So we're having some discussions there about maybe seeing what the real feasibility is. There's been a few looks at it, but I'm not convinced that they've been real serious in the past. And so that's just one of the things that we're going to look at. But we're reaching a point as a board that with the funds that we get, we have to be very selective, and we will be very selective about, what we apply the funds for. But everything is going to the park, and we feel good right now about the nature of the board and the nature of the expenditures on the park, and look to with all the projects going on. 2 years ago, as soon as we started, people were immediately asked, well, when are we going to build something, or when's something going to happen out there? And, for a couple of years, nothing happened. And things take time to get underway. The Discovery Center was well underway already. And so they kind of had the lead on everything with what they were doing. And now we're getting the questions about, when will things be done, and why is it all tore up, and, so we are making progress totally as a park, as an entity, and the tax issue has proven to be such a real catalyst, for all the activity and some of the major changes that are occurring. So with that, I'd be happy to attempt to answer any questions, and then let you study the annual report at your leisure, and if I need to come back and answer more questions, I'd be glad to.
Jim, I'm kind of getting in the weeds here, but with the drainage study, there's a pond over there that I think the zoo built. It's just kind of it'd be east of the Rose Garden. What is the watershed that feeds that? I never see any water in that thing.
Well, and I can provide you a map at some point of the Westlake watershed. Basically, obviously from the lake, by the pool, takes in all that parking lot, carousel, and then right opposite the carousel, there's that low area that goes off to the west, over toward the cemetery and over toward that red. There's a pretty good area over there that actually comes across into the park. And then the rest of the drainage area goes down just right around in by the Rose Garden, and then just right north of the Discovery Center. And that all comes back to the north.
Okay, all right. You said the fiber optics, that will feed all of the new facilities we have planned, the
Yes.
carousel and
Yep.
all that. Very good.
The loop has been planned in great secrecy, I might add. There's a long story to that. The loop will be such that any of the existing facilities that are out there and/or the areas that have been really looked at as far as maybe future activities will be very within reach of connecting to that system. So it'll be a system that's, and that's the reason why that, as a board, we said that's probably a pretty good long-term investment to make sure that technology pathway is available for the park, for the whole central part of the park.
And I know the arch, at one time, people could drive under that, and
Yep.
when they improved Sixth Street, I just had them curb and gutter, and it's just a pedestrian walkway through there now. But we were concerned way back then that truck traffic might be-
Vibration.
But there's some scales up near the top of that arch that could detect movement. They're on both sides of a joint, and so if somebody wants to crawl up there, they might be able to see if there's been any movement in the last 25 years or so.
Well, Commissioner, I think and that's our discussion has been, we really need to determine the feasibility from a structural engineering standpoint, whether or not it could be moved or retained in place or something done with it. You know, it's a piece of history that, boy, you don't want to see it just fall into disrepair, but it's in a difficult spot, and it's a difficult piece of hardware to deal with.
I don't know how they built it in that time period, 1910. They didn't have much for equipment, and those are some very heavy stones. But hey, they built pyramids at one time.
It's still standing.
It's still there.
I don't know if you noticed, but the Parks and Rec staff was sitting here discussing who has to climb up there and check those scales. So, yeah.
So, anyway, I would like to thank you for the behalf of the War Memorial. They were doing a lot of kind of maintenance projects this year, fixing some broken concrete and doing the electrical work, and it certainly was a good help. We went 50-50 with the Gage Park Improvement Authority on that project, and so thank you for that, and we hope to have that wrapped up soon. Yes.
So I had questions about the dam at Westlake. Obviously, like we've seen the seepage comes across the sidewalk there. Can you just assure me there's no danger to the public here? That dam is not going to wash out, the train's not going to fall in the lake, anything like that?
No pressure, huh?
Yeah.
No, from what we know, and from what we know of its constituents within it and what the engineering group that we have looking at it, there's not a imminent danger. It's not classified as a high hazard dam. The only reason I bring up the location for the drainage across the street is that it does have to function as an in and out, you know.
Like a spillway kind of. Yeah.
Just to give you an example, I mean, just these nice rains that we've been getting, everybody in town probably got inch plus this Saturday night. I live down south, down Barrington area. We got 4.5 inches in a really small area. That can happen more now frequently. That lake and dam have to be able to now, you know, handle that type of thing. So the ability to store and overflow has to be coordinated with what the downstream can take. So that's the main thrust right now, is making sure that the lake and the dam down the road can handle both storage and discharge due to some of these changing conditions. And the fact that we know that the materials in the embankment itself are not conducive to solving the seepage problem. I mean, that's been a mess for many years. If you remember the old 6th Street that was there, and you had water running across the 6th Street sometimes and in the grass and soft. And so we've got a kind of a multi-headed problem there from an engineering and drainage standpoint. And then, by the way, you know, the mini train that runs across there has a set of criteria of its own that it will only run under certain circumstances as far as grade changes and such. And so we've got to meld all that together. So we know of no imminent danger, and the city does not feel that, and as far as we know, the state, same way. It's just that we know it's not in proper condition. We need to fix that to make sure that there's no issues down the road as we see more and more of these rainstorms.
So kind of to piggyback on that, is that a situation where they would have to drain the lake entirely and rebuild that? And if so, you know, are we going to be dredging it at the same time? Because I'm sure that's silted in a little bit over the years.
Let me get back to you in about a week. Maybe I'll
Okay.
have a better. We're gonna find out. We've had discussions. We've had intermittent meetings and discussions. The procedure to repair it may require some drawdown, maybe not totally. may require some dredging. We don't know for sure because the debris is in the upper layer of the embankment. And so, and as you know, there's literally no construction space there. And so taking that embankment down and removing some of that debris is going to be an effort. So the combination of drawdown, how it's done, we originally kind of talked about putting a slurry wall in there, that a deep concrete wall that would just negate the seepage, but with the rubble in there, that can't be done. So we should have some more answers here within the next week to 30 days here as we get down to the detail of, and I will point out, as I said earlier, the authority is not in a position to fund large projects. We are funding this study, and this study will come out with design recommendations and cost estimate to do the work. So we can report back later on that, and there'll be a lot of discussion on that. But so we're just about to get there.
And Jim, one of the things that always concerns me is the safety of the mini train. In the master plan, are they looking at reducing the number of crossings or anything like that so that the train isn't necessarily crossing streets all the time?
Well, that's another good question, because that gets to the one argument: you need to close some streets, or no, you can't close the streets. So you may not reduce the number of crossings. There has been a look at the crossings, and there has been some recommendations as far as some safety items at the crossings as they now exist. I think that was a continuing item on the master planning, that if the train stays as it is, or if it's extended, the safety issues are still a prime consideration. So I think the discussions that have been had about the safety have obviously raised that issue to a very high level. So I anticipate, we'll see some safety changes regardless of how it's eventually configured.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know about the original holding capacity of Gage or Westlake. I have walked across there, not on top of the water, right through the middle of it. It only came up to here on me. It's pretty shallow.
Well, I don't think it's ever been dredged.
I don't think so.
I'm aware of.
And,
So back to your earlier question, it may need to be dredged
maybe.
just for longevity in conjunction with the stormwater, but just for longevity as maintaining an ability to hold water. Because the problem with, if the dam in the lake is not there, then we have a problem downstream.
Yeah. That was an old WPC project from the 30s.
Yep.
It's been there for a while.
It's played a role. It definitely played a role, and times have changed in a lot of senses.
Before the train was there, people would drive across there. That was a road across the dam. So anyway, well, you have any?
No.
I would like to then thank the Gage Park Improvement Authority, all your work that you guys do, and thank you very much. And please
Appreciate it. Well, if you
pass
have
that
any
on to the
other,
board.
thoughts or questions as you look through the material, please let me know, and we can address whatever you need. So,
Yeah, I think with this new revenue fund, it'll take Gage Park from like good to great. It's going to be a huge jump for them, and we're already seeing some of the improvements, and it's going to be a special
well, that's
place
why I say
in no
that
time.
we caught a lot of flack the first 2 years because we weren't doing anything.
You have to gather a little money first.
Well, it's a collective effort with the entities and the authority, and the tax funds that are being generated and flowing in there. And it's starting to reach that critical mass that things are really getting done and changes. And I think you're correct. I think down the way as the tax funds are continued to be used for Gage Park. There's a lot of things that we have discussed board-wise that we haven't addressed yet. Wayfaring, more security, the traffic safety. We've broached several times possible projects with the zoo. Those haven't kind of come to fruition. But there's a lot of things that can be done out there that still can improve things. And you know, we're starting to see the results with the Discovery Center, Parks and Rec, the new volleyball facilities and the work they've got underway. Of course, the zoo's always building something, and with the new tiger exhibit and everything. So it's a changing environment, and I keep telling people it'll get done, and as it matures out, it'll be great. So,
Thank you very
thank you.
much.
Yep, thank you.
All right, next is public comment. I do have one person signed up, Rick Gross. Let's talk about speed limit and parking in Lake Sherwood.
My name is Rick Gross. I live at 6711 Southwest 40th. I've been there since 1984. So I've seen the traffic on that increase. My biggest concern is how fast people drive. I do have a solution. I think that you could slow them down if you had speed bumps. Obviously, the other obvious would be to patrol it, but that takes an officer and a car and time and money. But if you put speed bumps on that road, it would definitely slow people down. I'm retired. I was out traveling over the winter, and I was down in Tucson, and I came across some speed bumps that worked very effective. They were about 4 foot, and they were probably about four inches thick, and they had them marked with signs telling you that they were coming. And I just think that that would be an appropriate way to slow people down on 40th Street and 33rd at Lake Sherwood. I mean, you could use it all over the place, but it would be a cost-effective way to, if you're going to post the speed limit at 25 miles an hour, it's not being enforced. My other concern out at Lake Sherwood is Nottingham, parking on the street. With people speeding, you put people on both sides of the street, it really makes it dangerous. I avoid Nottingham. I mean, I go Chelmsford, I go across Lakefront, and I drive the speed limit, and there's kids playing in the street. I just think it's a public safety issue.
Okay. I know there's some liability comes with speed bumps. You know, somebody tears their car up and they say, hey, what do you have, speed bumps? And then the other issue is snow removal. Sometimes
Tear them up.
they'd have to be done correctly. And you say Nottingham, they're parking on both sides of the street?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll pass that on to our Public Works Director and have him take a look at that.
I mean, if you put no parking on one side of the street, it would help.
Yeah.
But
So, and I know I'm taking up your 4 minutes, I apologize for that, but, so we've had some conversations. Those roads are all governed by the Sherwood Improvement District. And so, we don't maintain those streets. So it would really be their call if they want to do that. And then, and then Mission Township, I believe, does the work on their behalf. So it's kind of a weird setup in Sherwood. It's different than anywhere else in the county because of that improvement authority out there, or is that what it's called? Improvement District? Sherwood Improvement District, yeah. So, and then there's also the Lake Club, which is kind of another layer out there as well. So the parking on Nottingham, we've heard that there's some landscape companies that have been blocking the road out there when they do lawn care or whatever. And I think that they've been spoken with, and hopefully they aren't doing that any longer. My understanding is they're pulling into driveways now instead. But we did look into the no parking, and I know that the Sherwood Improvement District had talked about it and ultimately decided that they didn't want to put no parking signs up. because they felt if they did it on one road, they would end up having to do it on a lot of other roads as well. But that doesn't mean they can't change their minds. But ultimately, the speed bumps would not be our call. That would be the Sherwood
So
Improvement Districts.
would it benefit me to speak to them?
Absolutely, it
Right.
would, yeah. Yeah, because they're your neighbors
yes.
too, right? So, I mean, yeah, it would definitely benefit you to talk to them.
You guys are in charge of the sheriff's department, aren't you?
No, the
no.
sheriff is.
Well, I mean, who governs the posted speed limit?
That would be the Sherwood Improvement District.
So they're the ones that, I mean, if you're gonna post it at 25 miles an hour, but the sheriff's department would be the one to enforce it.
Well, they are enforcing. I got pulled over out there.
The SID actually has a contract with the sheriff's office, and they rent, for lack of a better term, a police officer so many hours per month. So
Okay.
they do have a dedicated deputy that's there for certain hours.
So about a year ago, I called them, and they dispatched an officer, and he came out and talked to me, and he stood there in my driveway for probably 10, 15 minutes, and we watched the traffic, and he said, oh my, I mean, he saw it, but they didn't do anything about it. So, I mean, if you're working in your yard and you're out along the street, you better be aware of what's going on. Because they move. And it's not just cars, it's everything. It's work trucks pulling trailers, it's everything. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Appreciate it.
So, appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick. Next is administrative communications. Seeing none. We do have Commissioner Mays, do you have anything to add?
Not much. I had a chance to go by the World Cup Fan Fest in Kansas City this weekend, and it was quite a spectacle. It was right before the Ecuador versus Curacao match, and it was probably the biggest party I've ever been to. Dance party, everything. It was pretty wild. So if you get a chance, check that out while we can, because it's probably the only time we'll ever see it in our lifetime. So.
Very good. Commissioner Cook?
We had our employee appreciation picnic last Friday. It was very well attended. I want to thank all of our staff who came out and to help cook and set up and make it work. And we had quite a few people that came with their families, and so it was a nice evening. Did get a little rain on us, and so, but I mean, for our first employee appreciation picnic, it worked very well.
Very good. It was a good event.
It's a lot of fun.
Well attended, so fed a lot of people that night.
Yeah, it actually, all of the hamburgers and hot dogs that got burnt or dropped on the ground, it went home to my dog. So it actually fed a lot of people and my dog as well, so.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's no reflection on the cooks, I might add. There's an acceptable loss in terms of the amount that was cooked.
Thank you for helping cook, Rich. All right, we do have a need for an executive session, so I'm going to move that we have an executive session with matters related to employer-employee negotiations, whether or not in consultation with the representative or representatives of the body or agency.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Let's get together in about 5 minutes, so.
How long was your executive session?
You said 20 minutes?
30.
30 minutes, okay.
And it's gonna start when?
10 o'clock, yeah, that'd be fine. We are back from executive session. No action is taken at this time, so we're adjourned.